What is up, everybody? It is I, Ronin, and today we're getting a little more back into form with more standard decks. Another burn deck, weirdly enough. This one actually somewhat competent. But yeah, it's volcanics. I don't think I've ever done a volcanics video before, so yeah, I guess I'll figure that out if I have or not after I'm done with this. But yeah, volcanics, if you don't know. Uh, they blow up your field. That's what they do. They send this trap card to the graveyard, and then at an opportune time, they blow up your field. Uh, Not much more to say. That's the video, but let's go over it real fast to go over the unique ways in which they can keep blowing up your field. Starting with arguably the sort of only recognizable card in the deck, Volcanic Scattershot. It's a level 2 Pyro monster with 500 attack and 0 defense, and when it is sent to the graveyard, it burns your opponent for 500. And if it was sent there by a Blaze Accelerator card, in our case, Blaze Accelerator Reload, you can send the rest of your scatter shots from your hand or deck also to the graveyard. And then, if you did that, you destroy all the monsters on your opponent's field. So, generally speaking, what you do is get this to the graveyard with Blaze Accelerator Reload, which we'll go over how to do in a second. Activate its other effect to send the other two, and you raigeki your opponent as well as burn them for 1500. And that's basically the main disruption of the deck. Your goal of the deck is pretty simply to keep being able to do this. And the other card that is required to do this is Blaze Accelerator Reload, which we'll go over now. It's a continuous trap. It becomes Tri-Blaze Accelerator when in the spell and trap card zone. And during either player's main phase, you can send a volcanic card from your hand to the grave, and if you do, you draw a card. And if this is in the graveyard, you can banish it during either player's turn in order to send a volcanic monster from your deck to the graveyard, i.e. Scattershot, or if it's in your hand, you send it from the hand with this in order to draw and burn your opponent for 1500 and raigeki them. Yeah, so there are various ways to sort of go about this. There's always, hard drawing accelerator. You can send it off of Foolish Burial Goods. You can search it with Volcanic Rocket, which when it is normal 7 lets you add a Blaze Accelerator card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Lots of ways to sort of get to your plays no matter where Scattershot is in your deck at the moment. Uh, in order to help with that, though, the keep doing it sort of aspect, we have a few more cards like Jar of Avarice, a trap that upon activation lets you target 5 cards in your graveyard except itself to shuffle them back and draw a card as a hard once per turn. I feel like I should probably be running this at 2. I just don't know what I would cut to 2. Uh, maybe Foolish Burial Goods, but I'm not sure. That'd be something worth testing. We also have other ways to sort of get where you need to be. We also have Royal Firestorm Guards. Did we go over them? I don't think we did. Level 4 Pyro, and when it's normal summoned, it lets you target 4 Pyro monsters in the grave, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 2. Yeah, so those are the ways that we can recover. In order to deck then, we also have Volcanic Shell, a level 1 that once per turn, when it's in the graveyard, you can pay 500 to add another copy of itself from your deck to your hand. This is a soft once per turn, so if you can manage to get one in the grave, then get another, you can use the second one in order to search again, so that's pretty good. We're also running a lot of level 8s, so we're able to run things like Trade-In, so that's pretty sweet. Foolish Burial, obviously a good way to get monsters into the graveyard. Uh, as a matter of fact, the only things we have that aren't related to sort of increasing the consistency of Scattershot are Dogeron, the Mad Flame Kaiju, who is our level 8 Kaiju. He's fire attribute, so I wanted to stay in theme, but Gamsil is equally as good here. The Blazing Mars, who's a absolutely dope card, which let's go over him now actually, as just because we're talking about this stuff. So Blazing Mars from the hand or graveyard can be special summoned by banishing 3 other monsters from the grave, and you can't special summon anything after that. That's not a huge problem for this deck, mostly because we don't special summon a whole lot anyways. And once during main phase 1, you are able to send all other monsters you control to the graveyard to burn your opponent for 500 damage as a hard once per turn. So I like this because it lets you more easily get back to your scatter shots. So allow me to explain. So say you just scatter shotted your opponent, wipe their board. Now you have the ability to make a Mars for some battle damage, and you can get your scatter shots back with Pot of Acquisitiveness, which lets you target free banished monsters to shuffle all free into the deck and then draw. So this is just another way to get power on board as well as get back our scatter shots. So I think it's a very cool combination, and the burn is also pretty nice every now and then, but you guys are gonna see that. Let's see. We also have Breakthrough Skill, a normal trap that lets you target a mo monster the opponent controls. It loses its effects till the end of the turn, and then you can also banish it from the graveyard, except for the turn it was sent there, in order to do the same thing again. Uh, you could definitely make the argument for impermanence here. I just prefer this because it has 2 uses. We also have Pot of Extravagance because we don't really care about our extra deck all that much. The only important one is Link Karibo as another way to get our shells into the graveyard. But yeah, you don't really care about your extra deck, so go all out with this one. And I believe... Oh wait, no, there is one more main deck card, Volcanic Counter. It's also the other cool card we have that isn't really related to getting the scatter shot. It says that whenever you take battle damage, so long as you have another fire monster in your graveyard that is not itself, it banishes itself immediately and your opponent takes the same battle damage. So this card's just kind of a funky way to lower your opponent's life points. They all trigger at the same time if you take battle damage, so you can actually make an opponent take like double the battle damage that you took. And you can even crash and get this effect, so it has that added benefit as well. I believe that covers the main deck. Extra deck, like I said, it doesn't really matter what we run outside of Link Karibo, but other than that, just so we can go over, we have 2 copies each of the Nightmare package, free Boral Swords, and free Doolittle Chimeras because we have a lot of fire monsters. Now for the side deck, it's a little bit more interesting. Or not really, actually, now that I think about it. We have free red reboot for trap heavy matchups, free burial from a different dimension for more ways to get back banished cards in case Pot of Acquisitiveness just isn't coming up, free twin twisters for spell trap removal, free called by the graves because hand traps are scary, and free dark holes in case we ever really just want to wipe the field. But yeah, that's the deck. If you're new here, we just go over a few replays. I talk about the deck's weaknesses, its strengths, what I liked, what I didn't like, so on, so forth, things like that. But yeah, all that being said, I'll see you guys in the first replay. Okay, going to the first replay of player one, we are Pele, or Pele? Is it? I think it's pronounced Pele, but she's like the Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes, I think. So yeah, there's that sick reference for you. And we are playing against Buster Bladers, who is not bricked. We have, well, we have potentially not bricked. This is mostly a pretty bad hand. Another good thing about Blazing Mars is thankfully it's a really good trade and target because you can special summon it from the graveyard as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. So our opponent, they will be going first, which isn't great for us. We wanted to go first, but yeah. So they're able to make the new Buster Link monster, which is it's pretty decent. And 1 second, this is a little quiet on my end. Oh yeah, there we go, that's better. Yeah, so he uses the Buster Link monster to send a Buster Blader spell trap from the deck to the grave, as well as potentially summon a Buster Grenade. He didn't have one though. But yeah, he was able to sort of get to the Destruction Sword memories into the grave, so Good on him. He got the Destruction Sword Fusion back, the Prologue, and the Trap Trick, as well as a Ghost Ogre, so he is very well set right now. Then it's our turn, so we're going to draw again another trade-in. So we trade in for the Blazing Mars to get a Breakthrough Skill and a Pot of Extravagance. We're trading in again, this time for the Dogoron, to get the Blaze Accelerated Reload and another Pot of Extravagance. So that's not great. So we just set Reload, Breakthrough Skill, set the counter, and pass it up, hoping our opponent cannot do too much. The Breakthrough Skill does make us feel more confident, plus counter being just there as a bit of a wall is pretty good. So our opponent's going to go ahead and Trap Trick for the Prologue. Prologue will get him the Buster Dragon. This is pretty good for him. So he's going to try to use Buster Dragon to bring back the Destruction Swords, and we're going to go ahead and Breakthrough Skill that to put a stop to some of that nonsense, as well as make our things not dragons anymore, which is pretty nice. So he does not get that back. He's going to summon the Ghost Ogre to just make a Borreload, attack into the counter, do his stuff. As our turn, we get the Rocket, which is pretty good. So but we're going to go ahead and activate the Pot of Indulgence, banishing 6 to draw 2. Summon the Rocket to search the Blaze Accelerator Reload. Set it, pass our turn. Counter was going to go away anyway, so I didn't really see any need to attack into it and give him the chance to lower our stats or anything immediately. So yeah, we got our counter back in the graveyard, which is pretty nice. He summons the Lilith to get a trap. We're going to go ahead and reload, dropping the counter in the grave in order to draw the Dogoron, which is fine. Our opponent gets the Destruction Sword Flash, which is a pretty annoying card to deal with, but he's got it. So he's going to go ahead and lower our attack, steal our boy, attack into it 1400. However, we now have 2 counters in the grave, so he takes 2800 in return, which is pretty great for us. So it's our turn again. We draw the Blazing Mars, which is good. And here we kind of have to make the choice between Extravagance and Trade-In. I went ahead with the Extravagance Trade-In because that's generally more draw power. But we did drop a shell to get a Firestorm Guard, trading in the Dogoron for a Pot of Acquisitives and a Scattershot, which is what we wanted. Then we're going to use Scattershot to effect to get another Scattershot. Then we're going to summon the Blazing Mars by banishing 2 Dogorons and a Blazing Mars. Summon the Shell. Blazing Mars effect to burn for 500. Shell effect, go ahead and get another Shell. Then we're going to go ahead and attack into our own Volcanic Rocket. He will lower our stats, unfortunately, but yeah, that is our turn. Then as our opponent's turn, he's going to draw the Phantasme, activate the Prologue again to get the Buster Dragon. At this point, our Raigeki is live, and this is kind of where the skill of the deck comes in. You have to time it well. Otherwise, your opponent will just be able to recover their board pretty much. So we go ahead and wait for him to establish this big, like, game-ending board. Then we go ahead and drop the nuke. So yeah, we burn our opponent for 1500, blow up his field. He is going to go ahead and take that. He does, however, have that, so he's able to go back into a Buster Blade or Fusion, attack over our Blazing Mars for now. It is our turn again. And thankfully, we are pretty much set up here because we do have the Blazing Mars in the graveyard, which is able to special summon itself, like I said. So we are going to go ahead and use the reload, though, draw a card. Mars, banish our free scatter shots. Then use the Pot of Acquisitiveness to put them back in the deck and draw. And at this point, it's just trying to draw back into our scatter shots. So we are going to do as much drawing and deck thinning as we can, pretty much, till we get what we need. Then we're going to the battle phase. We attempt to crash the Firestorm Guards here in order to just lower him big because we do have a counter back in the grave. Well, yeah, I'm glad I did because I miscounted my fire monsters there. So we use the Destruction Sword Flash to banish all of our stuff. But we do set the reload here, though. Our opponent can't attack directly because of Buster Blade's effect, so we are going to use, during the end phase, Reload's effect to drop a rocket. and draw, and we have the scatter shot, which basically just means game. We do the little combo here to burn through 1500 and blow up his board. And yeah, at this point he surrenders, and that's the game. So yeah, that's the strategy of the deck. Just raigeki your opponent at the most opportune moment. It's pretty straightforward. Just keep trying to reuse your scatter shots, but a lot of the times it works, and sometimes you get this perfect situation where you're actually able to burn your opponent like this. And yeah, a lot of that's just trying different things. But the deck, it does have some struggles. It does, in fact, have some struggles, but we're going to see that in the next game. I'll see you guys there. Okay, welcome to the second and this time final replay with Honka Tonka. And he's playing Cosmos, and anyone who knows Cosmos, I'm sure you can already tell the problem that we're going to run into. That being that Cosmos float for days. But yeah, we are going first this time, so that's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and activate the Pot of Extravagance, draw into Extravagance and Blazing Mars. Foolish Burial Goods, go ahead and set ourselves up with a Blaze Accelerator in the grave for the effect. Summon the Shell to make the Link Karibo. Shell search Shell. Gonna go ahead and set that Blaze Accelerator to have the Shell in hand to use it so we can draw some. So, yeah, this is a pretty average turn 1 for the deck. It's just kind of set up, really. Maybe defend yourself some. But now is our opponent's turn. He's going to go ahead and draw, activate the Allure, activate Allure again. At this point, we go ahead and activate the Reload to drop the Shell and draw the Breakthrough skill. Opponent's going to keep drawing, goes ahead and banishes a Dark Destroyer, and then he ends his turn. It's our turn now. So we're going to go ahead and use the Reload in order to put a counter in the grave, get a Breakthrough skill, use Shell to search Shell. And this is another problem with the deck. If your opponent doesn't do anything, it's actually rather difficult to capitalize on an empty board. But yeah, so we're going to summon Shell, summon Blazing Mars, go into the battle, attack, 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 and then that is the end of our turn. We have the Breakthrough skill and Breakthrough skill set. So we're in an okay-ish position here. We do have a body. The Link Karibo is pretty good defensively. But yeah, as our opponents go, they're going to use their own Pot of Extravagance, draw some, summon Sword Troopers. At this point, we are going to go ahead and use our Reload to do our scatter shots because I was worried about his low-level stuff. But he is going to go ahead and tag out. Thankfully, we are able to pop the Dark Destroyer. However, like I said, floats for days, so Dark Destroyer floats and pops. Gets out the Farm Girl, which is a pretty good grab from him. He's going to go ahead and try to attack over our Volcanic Shell. We will zero it out with Link Karibo. He will tag out. We're going to use Link Karibo's effect to tag out the Shell. So he tags out into the Cosmol Dark Lady. So that's a monster negate on his end. So he attacks into it. We again use Link Karibo to tag out. Dark Lady is going to go ahead and give him the Forerunner. Forerunner is going to attack us directly. So, yeah, he was able to keep a monster on board, and at this point we are in a scary spot. So it's our turn, though. We go ahead and activate the Pot of Acquisitiveness, put back our monsters, draw a card. We use Shell to search Shell, summon Shell to go ahead and trade out for the Link Karibo. Phantasme comes down, he gets some draws. We use Shell to search Shell again, use Reload on Shell, get the trade in, dropping the Dogron to draw cards. Then we are finally able to once again summon our Blazing Mars. We go into the battle phase, attack over the Phantasme. We kind of want to keep the Link Karibo for zeroing stuff out. The Forerunner happens, he gets the Cosmotown. We're going to go ahead and drop the Rocket to get a trade in, which is good if we can get into the next turn. But he's going to go ahead and get back the Farm Girl. Cosmotown's going to get him the Tin Can. He attacks another Link Kribo. We attempt to zero it out once more. Farm Girl is going to tag out to the Slip Rider, though. Slip Rider will will attempt to pop our breakthrough skill. We're going to go ahead and activate it. That'll prevent him from tagging out, I guess. He says the Super Poly then goes into that. I have absolutely no idea why he didn't attack over Blazing Mars or Forerunner, but I was thankful. So we go ahead and use the Extravagance this time. Draw 2. Go ahead and Kaiju it. We were a little foolish here. A little foolish, not going to lie. I had, I had a plan in mind. It did not work. We summoned Firestorm Guards. The goal was pretty much to hope we draw into a scatter shot here. So yeah, we do put our scatter shots back as well as a rocket. And at that point, the replay ended. I have no idea if we would have drawn into a scatter shot here. If we had, there's a chance. There's a chance we pull this back if we had. He was definitely running low on resources of his own, so that was definitely reassuring. But it was still very, very much a struggle to just deal with all of his floating and all the monsters he could keep on board. So decks that just are resistant to destruction effects really give this a hard time just playing in general. But yeah. So that's the deck. I thought it was pretty cool. I'm not sure if Blazing Mars is a normally used tech card, but if it is, like, I think it actually works really well in the deck. I thought it was good. I thought overall this was a very good, very fun burn deck. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Was the deck as good as I believe it was? Are there ways I could have improved it? Is there any obvious things that I am just missing here? But yeah, you all let me know that in the comments. And yeah, like if you liked, comment if you have something to say, and subscribe if you want some more. This has been Ronin, signing off.